Hi guys, I'm going to simplify or discuss the given complex number equation. This is the given complex number equation. So we have quantity 3 minus 2j2 quantity times quantity 1 plus j4 quantity over quantity 2 minus j3 times quantity 4 plus j. So in simplification of this, we have to perform a FOIL method in denominator and in the numerator. So first, we have to 3 times 1 is equals to 3. So 3 times j4 equals to j12. Negative j2 times 1 is equals to negative j2, and negative j2 times 4 is equals to negative j2 squared. No, so and also simplify the denominator using the FOIL method. So this is the answer. 2 times 4 is equals to 2 times j is equals to 2j, and negative 3j times 4 is equals to negative 12j, and negative 3j times j is equals to negative 3j squared. So always take note that the value of j in the imaginary power rules is negative 1, because because the value of j is a square root of negative 1, so square root of negative 1 squared is negative 1. So we have to substitute the negative 1 in j squared. So negative 1j, negative 1 times negative 8 is equals to positive 8 there, and negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. So there's the value of simplification of FOIL method. So next step is we have to simplify the numerator and the denominator of this equation. So first is 3 plus 8 is equals to 11, and then the imaginary number is 12 minus 2 is equals to 10j, and then also the denominator, which is 8 plus 3 is equals to 11, and 2j minus 12j is equals to 10j. So using this equation, we have to perform the conjugate we have to perform conjugate function or conjugate rule. No, so the denominator, so 11, it changes this operation to positive. 11 plus 10j over 11 plus 10j. So the value of this equation is 1. So again, we have to perform the FOIL method. 11 times 11 is equals to 121. 11 times 10j is equals to 110j. And also 10j times 11 is equals to 110j, and 10j times 10j is equals to 100j squared. So this j squared will be substitute in negative 1. And also the simplification of the denominator of this is here. 121, 11 times 11, 121, 11 times 10j is equals to 110j. Negative 10j times 11, 10j is negative 110j. Negative 10j times 10j is equals to negative 10j squared. So we have to substitute negative 1. So the value of that is negative 100. And positive 100, because negative 1 times negative 100 is positive 100. So next step is we have to simplify. 121 minus 100 is equals to 21. 110j plus 110j is 220j. So 110j minus 110j is 0, so we have to cancel this out. And 121 plus 121 plus 100 is equals to 221. So we have to separate this fraction. No. So 121 over 221 plus 220j over 221. So using calculator, you can convert this into decimal. So this is the conversion. So 21 over 221 is equals to 0.95 plus 0.995j. It's a conversion of 220 over 221j. So this is the final answer of the given equation this. So number 2 is we have to simplify the j raised to 561 minus j raised to 174. So in simplification of this, no, so we have j raised to 4 raised to 140. So 4 times 140 is equals to 560 plus 1 is equals to 561. So this is equal to this equation. So minus j raised to 4 times 43. So 4 times 43 is 172 plus 2j is equals to 174. So we have here some of the formula or some of the rule of a power of imaginary number. So j squared is equals to square root of negative 1 squared is equals to square root of negative 1 quantity squared is equals to negative 1. So j raised to 3 is equals to j squared times j. So the value of the j squared is negative 1. So negative 1 times j is equals to negative j. So in 4, j raised to 4. So j squared times j squared is equals to positive 1 because the value of j squared is negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So we have to simplify this using this formula or the rules of the power of imaginary number. So j4 is equals to j raised to 4 is equals to 1. So we have the value of 1 here times j minus j raised to 4 is equals to 1 times j squared. So the j squared is equals to negative 1. So negative 1 times the negative 1 is equals to positive 1. So we have to simplify this. J plus 1 is the final answer of this equation, given equation. So we have number 3. So number 3 is find the real value of the x and y in this equation. So the equation is 2x plus j4y minus 3 is equals to j3x minus y minus j10. So first is we have to separate the real and the imaginary numbers. So what are the real numbers? So real numbers 2x, 3, negative 3, and then negative y. Now, so 2x minus 3 is equals to negative y. So if we arrange this, it's equals to y equals to negative 2x plus 3. No? So this is the value of y for the meantime. So we have here the imaginary number, which is the j4y is equals to j3x minus j10. So we have the y here, so we have to substitute the value of y here to the y here. So we have to simplify here. Simplification, I already simplify here. So j4 times negative 2x is equals to negative j8x. j4 plus or times 3 is equals to j12 is equals to j3x minus j10. So the next step is we have to separate the imaginary, no, we have to separate the x, we have to separate the x and without variable, the variable and without variable. So we have here the 8jx minus 3j. So here's 3j x, so we have to move here to here, no? So equals to negative 10j. So always take note that the j3x will become negative, and then negative j10 minus 12j or j12. So j12 is moved from the right, will become negative j12. So we have to simplify the here and simplify this. So negative 8jx minus j3x is equals to negative j11x equals to negative 22j. So using we have to get the value of x, no? So j11, negative j11 over negative j11 is equals to negative 22j over negative 22j. So in getting the value of x, so simplify this, we have a 2, and also the negative sign will cancel. So this is the answer of x, and then we have to get the answer of the value of y. So we have here the value of y, temporary value of y is equals to negative 2x plus 3. So we have to substitute the value of x here, which is 2 here. So y is equals to negative 2 times 2 plus 3. So negative 2 times 2 is equals to 4 plus 3. So simplify this, equals to 1. So the value of y is negative 1. The value of x is 2 in this equation, in finding the value of x and y in this equation. Step number 4. So find the plot the 2 square root of negative 11 minus j60. So this is the rectangular form. We have to make this a polar form. So we have the solution. So first we have to get the value of r, which is the formula of the value of r is square root of x squared plus y squared. So the value of x is negative 11. The value of y is 60. So we have here the r is equals to square root of negative 11 squared plus negative 60 squared. So you can simplify this. You can use your calculator. Is equals to 61. So second is we have to get the value of the angle. So in getting the value of angle, theta is equals to arctan y over x. So the value of y is negative 16. The value of x is negative 11. You can simplify this. You can, using your calculator, is equals to theta is equals to 79.61 degree. So we can transform this into the polar form. Z equals to 61, angle of 71.61 degree. So next step is we have to get the principal rule so that we can plot this into Argand diagram. So first rule is k is equals to 0. So we have here the formula of principal root. So z1 is equals to r angle of theta plus 360 degree times the value of k raised to 1 over n. So the value of n is a square root, is the root of this equation. So in simplifying this formula, we have r raised to 1 over n, I mean. So angle of theta plus 360 raised to 360 times the value of k over the n. So in z1, our value of r is 61 and value of n is 2 because square root. The angle of 79.61 plus 360 degree times the value of k, which is 0. So we can cancel this out over 2. So the value of 61 raised to 1/2 is 7.81, angle of 39.81. So 79.61 over 2 is 39.81. So we have second root is k is equals to 1. So z1, so the value of r is 61 over 1 over 2, angle of 79.61 plus 360 times 1 over 2. So in simplifying this, we have 7.9.8, I mean 81, angle of 209.81 degree. So this is the z2. So we have to plot this out in our argon diagram. This is our plotting. So this is Z1 because 39.81 degree, from this is 39.81 degree, and then we have 219.81 degree, which is here 180, tapos from here to here is 219.81 degree. So as you notice, we have 180 degree angle over two. So this is the final answer, here and here. So we are here number 5. So number 5 is find the sketch and the fourth root of this equation, which is -4 times square root of 3, -4 square root of 3 plus j4. So first we have to, this is rectangular form, we have to form this into polar form. So first get the value of r, which is square root of x squared plus y squared. Value of x is -4 square root of 3 squared plus the 4 squared. So in simplifying this, using your calculator, is r equals to 8, and then get the value of the angle, which is arctan y over x. The value of y is 4, and the value of x is -4 square root of 3. So the angle is -30 degree. So this is the polar form, 8 angle of -30 degree. So we have to find the principal root. So first root is k equals to 0. So as usual, this is the formula. Z1 is equals to r raised to 1 over n angle theta plus 360 times the value of k over n. So our n is here is 4. So Z1 is equals to 8 raised to 1 over 4, or 1/4, angle of 360. We did not put 360 degree here because the value of k is 0, so we have to cancel this out. So over 4, so the value of this 8 raised to 1/4 is equals to 1.68, angle of -7.5. So we have a second root. So k is equals to 1. So the value of z sub 2 is equals to 8 raised to 1/4, angle of -30 degree plus 360 times the value of k, which is 1 over 4. So in simplifying this, we have 1.68, angle of 82.5. So you can simplify this using your calculator, and the value of that is 82.5 degree. So we have third root, which is k is equals to 2, and then z sub 3 is equals to 8 raised to 1/4, angle of -30 plus 360 times the value of k, which is 2, and then over 4. So the value of z3 is 1.86, angle of 172.5 degree. If you simplifying this using your calculator. And fourth root is k is equals to 3, so the value of z4 is equals to 8 raised to 1/4, angle of -30 plus 360 times the value of k, which is 3 over 4. So the value of this is 1.86, angle 282.5 degree. So we have to plot this in your Hungarian plot. Argon. We have to plot this in your argon diagram. So I prepare already here. The sketch. So we have Z1. So the value of Z1 is equals to 1.868, angle of -7.5. So the -7.5 is here. to here. So negative 7.5 siya. And Z2 is 82.5. So this is 90 degree. And this is 82.5 degree. And the value of Z sub 2. And then we have Z sub 3, 172.5 degree. From 90 to 180. So this is the 172.5. 72.5. So we have here the 1.68 angle of 262.5 degree, 62.5 or 262. So this is 180 and this is 162. So as you can see, as you can see, we have here an angle. This is 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, and 90 degree angle.